No, you gotta do.
So I did spend a little money
go
on
to
some
municipal.
clothes. Liquor store?
Nope.
Oh.
That's all I know it is.
I know it's very confusing in our friendship because that's what we always call. It's Mark Wahlberg's brand.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
His clothing line.
Fits nicely.
He
You bought some?
He says so. I almost did. I watched.
Does it only fit guys like him though? Because I feel like I'd look stupid in that.
No, it makes you look like him.
Exactly. You don't even have to work out. You just. I watched Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street?
No, Wall Street.
Oh, yeah.
WAHL
The new one?
Street.
Is it
The
a
new
show?
documentary.
Oh, okay.
It's a documentary that follows him around for a year.
Uh-huh.
He's got like 9 different pretty crazy businesses, and one of them is just trying to launch a clothing brand from scratch. And just like, I've thought about you a lot in it. It's just all kind of like, I'd actually just be really fascinated to hear your thoughts on it. Very fascinating.
I'd be very impressed.
I don't know. I just sometimes I feel like people are stringing him along a little bit. Like
For a clothing brand, he really missed Walmart. Like it's right there, you know. Like, you could have had that.
it's like the
You got Wahlburger, you know. Come on.
did you guys send me that on text? The Netflix series Seaspiracy.
Yeah.
It was like
I haven't watched it, though.
well,
It's
I haven't
called
seen it either.
Seaspiracy.
That's what it's called.
I heard it's really good, though.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I don't know.
I know Darren said it was awesome.
Okay, because then it's funny because he says.
But you'll hate the world after you watch it as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard it's like a big gaslighting documentary. Like a lot of it's like taken out of context and like.
Oh, really?
It really riles you up, but it's like.
That's what big plastic wants you to think.
Big plastic. But the guy was like, it's like Seaspiracy. Why not conspiracy?
Yes.
You're right there.
It's right there. It's right there.
That's fair.
Oh my god. Well, we made it.
Yeah, we ready to go? All right. Well, welcome to the Rise podcast.
Faith,
I think it's
Fatherhood.
conversations about
conversations about
faith, fatherhood, and figuring it all out. Maybe it's not conversations. Did I just put that in there, or was that always there?
No,
I mean,
Can
it's
we
a
roll the
word that
tape
can
on
go
that?
there.
Was that what?
It can go there.
It fits, but
it without conversations, this doesn't go very far.
it's just like
So
three,
it should
three
be
bullet
there,
points.
regardless of where
Sure.
or when you put
It
it.
makes
in.
it a sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. That thus forth is the new tagline,
Absolutely.
and maybe was always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
How was your guys' weeks?
Yesterday, I
Today's the last day of the week, by the way, so we
Yeah.
can really
So we should have
usually
something.
record on Thursdays. It's Friday
yeah,
today.
another day.
It's the
Whole
full
day of
week.
content coming.
Yeah.
Actually, part of the reason we couldn't do yesterday was because of the news I'm about to share.
Oh.
Which is, I had to do my, our church is part of LCMC. That's like the denomination.
It's a
I guess
clothing
you could
brand?
call it. I wish.
Oh.
We should start our own line, like Wahlberg. But, so you have to get certified as a pastor. Once you graduate seminary, then there's a certification process where you do paperwork and answer theological questions, and then you have an interview. We're also part of something called Augustana District, which is a district within the LCMC, which is kind of a like, I won't get into it, but we're part of that too. So that also then I have to get endorsed by the Augustana District. So there's a certification and endorsement interviews. They can do that at one time as long as people from both entities are there. And so that's what I was doing yesterday, and it went well. So it sounds like there should be no reason I'm not or I won't be certified. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or and endorsed. So
It was a face-to-face interview. Like they interviewed you for the job to certify you, or was it more of like a meeting you process?
It's a vetting process, meeting/vetting, I would say. Of like, now we got your paperwork, we read it over.
To be a full pastor?
Yeah, to be a certified pastor as LCMC. It's kind of like, okay, you want to be a pastor in our denomination? we probably shouldn't just let anybody who just says, I want to be pastor in your.
Yeah.
So then you go through these, the paperwork and then this interview, which is just like, they're just asking questions. Part of it is just pretty low key getting to know you, and other ones are like.
As well as like an obstacle course and like some other like
So does this
physical
endorsement
duties.
come with a pay raise if you're endorsed?
No. But
Why? Like, oh man, you're gonna get me going again.
No. But here's the thing. It's all necessary
Yep.
to be an ordained and called pastor, which then ideally does come with a pay raise.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
Because I'm so mad because here's the deal. My other buddy, he is the baseball coach at Ridgewater. He took a job as like a groundskeeper at the golf course in Montevideo. And they
When you say your other buddy, does that insinuate that only one of
like-
us is a buddy?
like I've got like 4 and like 2 of them are in the room.
I'm sitting on the couch.
But so I feel like everybody in their life needs to be sold a job that is way harder than they expect. Like the boss sold them the job as like, oh, this is gonna be super easy. It's gonna be like 20 hours a week. You're gonna be able to
You're
do
the
this
right guy
super
for the
easy.
job, yeah.
You're gonna do it. Like it will be flexible. All these things.
That's how I sold Calvin.
Yes, and he's worked like 80 hours this week already. So
Exactly. Oh, so sorry.
So Tyler took this job as a summer job, whatever, and they told him it was going to be like 4 days a week. He's going to spend whatever. He could 8 hours a day, 4 days a week. Can be good. Well, flash forward. Turns out he is fully in charge of all the greens on the golf course. He's been working 7 days a week, and like they only have 3 full-time guys, so he can't really take any time off because they'll have to do all his job if he doesn't.
And he's too good of a guy just to like leave those guys.
So I was
out
talking to him
dry.
yesterday, and he's moving. He bought a house, and he's moving this weekend, and he's scared to take days off. It's like, dude, what is? First of all, why just ask for days off? Second of all, tell them you can't work that much. Third of all, tell them you need to make more money if you're working that much because
Is it paid by the
Unless
hour?
it's Kelvin.
he's paid by the hour. Unless you're Calvin, it's an internship. Do whatever you got to do. Get your foot in the door. Yep, bootstrap. But it drives me crazy
If he's paid by
because
the hour, then 7 days a week he's getting paid 7 days a week, isn't
sure, but that's
Yeah.
not what that's not the job that
Sure.
he took. But he's letting it. Like people let their jobs turn into things like that, like where it's. It has nothing to do with you getting endorsed. I'm sorry.
No. I
But I hate
understand
when
your
people
frustration.
he? And this is why Lutherans suck.
Exactly.
when they don't express anything. Like you're just working.
Yeah.
Like tell them you can't work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Like I got sucked into it. One time I was told I was gonna make $3,000 a month working 10 hours a week as a landlord.
Yep.
That whole nother story. But
okay.
As wise as we are now, we should have seen that coming. At the time, I was like so jealous of
But
you. But now it's like,
But that's what I mean. You just have to work in the real world for like 6 years, and then I think you don't get tricked by things like that anymore. Or you get tricked by other things,
Yeah.
but you start to learn. You get a little jaded, and you figure out like, hey, this is just a job. I can say what like that I don't agree with this stuff, but good for you. You can work because
so I saw like, well, I was gonna say maybe it was confidential, but obviously it's not because I saw it on social media. But Living Word's hiring an associate pastor, and that's not you. Like,
I hope it is.
well, it's
but
just
that's what I mean.
listed.
Like, it's not. You're not necessarily seen as the associate pastor right now. You're like an intern pastor or something.
Yeah,
Okay. So
since I was finishing up, so right away Kelly was there.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had Dave and Kelly as pastors.
Right.
I was still kind of floating as like,
Like a fart.
exactly in the wind.
Yeah. Just
Anyway,
in the room.
then I had to
Yeah.
do an internship for seminary, so it was like, this is a good space. Well, he can be an intern pastor. Now I've graduated. Now there's a little bit of a gap here, which would technically call me. I would be like a contract pastor now
Okay.
if you want to get technical. Then, and then this position's open. Finally, kind of hiring for Kelly's old position. They revamped it because there's new needs to the church and what do we actually need, yada yada. So, and then open that position, which then I have
So
applied for.
you applied for it, but other people applied. I should apply for it.
You should.
but
Head to head.
but
Do you have
it's
a
kind
master's of divinity?
you should see
Under
how much
whose
I read the
authority?
Bible.
Any accredited university.
Well, you know how I feel about accredited universities.
Yeah, I mean,
It's pretty
I
much
don't know.
spoken for yours. They have to list it though.
Yeah, I would say it's both.
Oh.
I would say that I mean, I kind of asked the church to go through the process as well as I think they wanted to, which was I hope I'm the right guy for the job. I want to be, but really I want the church to have a great pastor. So,
oh geez, now you made me nervous, Greg. God,
So-
I thought this was just like a done deal. Like
no, I'm
formality.
just like, let's open it up. Because if I'm not the guy, I'm totally okay with that. And then that means the Lord has something else for me and I can go find that. And if I am, that's great. And then now we know. And we actually went through a process where we prayed about it as a church. There was a call committee. They asked questions. It wasn't just like, yeah, we just gave Greg the job because he was here. It's like, no, we actually were intentional. We sought the Lord. We opened it up to other candidates. Now, if we land on Greg, that's great. And, we could have probably skipped it all and we'd have landed on him anyway. But now we're trying to be faithful in the process. And so I think it's good. I think it's a good thing for me to do, actually. Yeah. And then I think it's really good at the church. And maybe it'll come back and it'll be like, they'll have somebody apply that's knockout and the Holy Spirit's going to be like, this is the guy. And it's going to be like, okay, I'm right now. I'm assuming like I'm planning ahead in the future. I'm organizing events that I'm assuming I'm going to be a part of. So like, I'm assuming it. But if the Lord shuts the door, then he shuts the door and we got to deal with that. But
what a wild way to live.
I'm
You're
not
a dangerous man.
it just doesn't make me really nervous at all.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, I'm nervous now, so.
Cause it's not like,
It's what you want anyway, and you're going to get a job elsewhere if
that's
you
what
don't
I mean.
get
I'm
one
just not
there,
worried
yeah.
about it. Like,
Because Lutherans will plant you anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Somebody needs a pastor.
Yeah. And if this Lutheran church doesn't hire me, forget Lutheranism.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you have a Master of Divinity. You can do anything.
I can do whatever the heck I want. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mormons are hungry. Well, that's exciting. Good.
Thanks.
When was that? When's the decision on that?
The position closes in a couple days, 3 days, and then
On a holiday, Memorial Day, it closes.
yeah, I just didn't know when this was gonna air, and if
Yeah,
we
a
wanted to
lot
get
of competition. You're coming.
No, I just
That's a good way to get nobody to apply.
Yeah.
Close it over the weekend.
yeah, no, on Memorial Day, I think it closes, and then they'll go through the process of whatever the next steps are, I guess, interviews and such. So
That'll
Awesome.
weed 'em out.
Well, that's good. That's good. Nate, how was your 2 weeks? Because you weren't here last week.
2 weeks. Well,
We had Joe Nate sitting in your spot.
I sprayed some residual Roundup on my yard. Killed the front yard by accident. I rinsed the sprayer even, so killed my front yard.
just
And
buy
then,
a new sprayer.
Then a
you
couple
cheapskate.
days, I know. And then a couple days later, it was raining, and someone drove through my yard with a skid loader.
Nuh-uh.
It turns out it's an easement, so he got approval from the cities and such. But city lawns are not farm lawns.
So it's legal? It's like
It turned out to be okay. He's gonna take care of it. He was awesome. He's
Okay.
gonna haul dirt in.
Okay.
I probably have to plant grass in there to build. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be a headache all summer. But I'm trying out the old overseed on the front yard where you don't till it up. You just put seed down and then water it pretty consistently
okay.
with the fertilizer, and it's supposed to grow okay. Probably not as good as if you tilled it, but I'm trying this first before I till
Yeah,
it.
good thinking.
So it was when it rains, it pours on the lawn. That happened to me this
Wow.
week. Unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Had my first team meeting for next year with my basketball team. That was super fun. Like I missed having those guys around, and it's gonna be crazy next year. But I can't wait to have a team again. Like that's gonna be.
You guys gonna be all right?
We're gonna be good, really good actually. I think, and just really good guys. Like it's good energy. A couple of those dudes are like electric factories. They're so fun.
That's good.
And then I think talent wise we're good, but just like buy-in and all that stuff is higher than I thought it would be. And half of those guys, like, were committed last year, didn't have a season this year, and didn't do anything. Like they're supposed to be in college, and then they decided to still come back. So those guys are really excited and committed and like what's going on. My only worry is that so one school, Naples, Florida, I had 2 kids committed last year from there. Well, they really like us or me or whatever, our program. Now 3 more kids from that high school want to come. I could have 5 or 6 kids from Naples High School alone on my team next year.
Wow.
And
are they?
they're really good. Like they've lost like 6 games the last 2 years. So they're very good, but still it's weird to,
have a subculture on your team.
yeah,
Of
like 6 people. And then, well, that's just kind of how it worked without the season. Like, cause a lot of those guys stayed home. So they almost recruited their good friends
Yeah, right.
since they were home. So that happened with a school in Mississippi. I got 2 other kids and I thought I was going to get a kid in Canada is bringing another kid. Like,
Wow.
so it's, I've got, in the meeting, I was very direct about, I wanted to have the meeting because I wanted to tell them like, understand, you're probably like, just understand you might not play. and understand that you can't be mad about that it's college basketball, that just because somebody's playing doesn't mean that you have to earn everything. Like, I just wanted those guys to have that in their mind before they got here. And if I set that expectation now, I can still have that expectation and like evolve it once they get here. But we're going to have a huge roster. We're going to have 20 or 22 or 23 guys on the first day of school. So they got to understand what they're...
That means you have a couple just to
kick off,
just
and
kick
make
off,
examples
just to set
of.
stamp.
Yeah.
First day, any
Nope.
reason.
Gone.
Somebody just has to bend over to tie their shoe.
Jorts, get out of here.
And it's actually been like, because I hired a former player as my assistant, so that's kind of what helped me be a little more direct, just because I could bounce ideas off of him because he's experienced what I did in the past.
Yeah, sure.
So I could adjust to what he kind of said went over well, what didn't go over well, and just mostly what went over well with people that didn't play. Now I can use those and not use other things to keep those people in the loop. So that was kind of fun.
That's cool. I didn't know you had I didn't realize you hired an assistant. It's
I
probably been
hired
for a while.
I hired a former player, and then I hired a guy off of Darren's staff that wanted to move back. So I hired
Really?
2 assistants.
Cool.
Nice.
And I bought a shooting machine yesterday.
Wow.
What does that mean?
It's like it rebounds for you and passes it back to you.
I was thinking guns.
Very very
No,
expensive.
Very touchy. Very touchy.
There is some that are called the gun, but
That's so confusing.
my
What are they thinking?
Yeah.
my new assistant
They got a lot of funding from the NRA.
had bought a bunch.
They were confused too.
Yeah, they're like, sure.
Someone's buying a gun.
Shooting machine, the gun.
Long story short, we talked him down like $2,500, and
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but I don't think anybody really
I am
pays
not
full
that easy
price.
to negotiate, as you know.
No.
I stay firm
Draw-
with my contracts.
Hold the line. Yep.
And nice
That's
vans,
cool.
by the way.
Thank you. I'm probably showing them off a little bit too much. In
No,
the
no, no,
camera.
no.
That-
Can't show
who
them
knows?
off enough.
I know you probably don't feel good about your lawn, but
Nah.
I don't want you to not feel too bad about it, because if it helps, Elam thinks it's really cool
It's brown.
because it's like kind of like tigery.
Yeah.
You know, it's got
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
that stripes to it, and he loves it. So
I mean,
That's a good.
I
makes
told
the
my
kids
wife
happy.
that's really good, and I told my wife I'm not the first guy to burn his lawn, and
No.
I won't be the last.
That's right on. That's
Not,
good. That's
not
good
even
attitude.
close. So what are you gonna do? It's
Good
not
attitude.
great, but
the real bummer from my perspective is like I watched you in the weeks leading up to that, and this is the year that you chose to really care
Yeah.
about your
Yeah.
lawn. You were out there all the time,
Yeah.
I've been doing a
watering
lot.
it and mowing it and doing what you can.
Well, that's the problem here is, so I was home, I had a little extra time, and usually I spray with the thing you twist on the hose and then you like spray it everywhere. Well, I had a little bit of like this spray to use up, and it wasn't the Roundup, it was the right
I got
spray.
you. No, I understand. Yeah.
And I had a little bit left to use up, and I never use that hand sprayer anymore that you like pump because it takes all year, and you're pumping and you're spraying and
Yep.
carrying. But I'm like, I got an extra like 2 hours right now. Let's just use that spray up, get this done, get this out of here. You can see the exact line the second time I filled it up. Like,
Oh my gosh.
so
Yeah.
I was trying too hard.
Congrats.
Don't be a try hard.
Yeah,
My
I
brother,
remember people actually complimenting your lawn this year. Prior, like Sandra,
Right.
when he
No,
drove
they
by,
were,
he
yeah.
was like, "Wow, Nate's lawn's looking good." Like,
my brother told me that a lawn service will give his lawn 5 treatments for $250. So he's just rubbing it in my face that he just paid a little bit of money and his looks awesome. So.
have you considered spray painting your lawn
That's an
with like a
idea.
washable
It
paint?
is an idea.
Non-toxic
Yeah.
washable paint.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heck,
Got about
make
8.
it toxic.
They do
What
it.
the heck?
They do it in the desert.
What's it gonna kill? Couple squirrels. Lawn looks great.
Don't worry about it.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. It's just there's a sermon in that somewhere.
Yeah. It's like a good sermon series.
Well, you can save it if you need more information. You can interview me or
Sounds
whatever
good.
you
I'll
need.
do
But
that. Max, what do you got
Go ahead
this
and
week,
use it.
man?
Not much. It's been a good week. Yeah. Things at work are going good. Things at 9017 it feels like are going good.
How's your intern?
Ugh.
we already addressed him in this podcast.
You know
People know it.
We'll talk about it later.
Sounds good.
No, Calvin is really great. Some of the things that I appreciate the most about him is he is not easily discouraged with hard problems.
Yeah.
That's just such. It's
Smart.
like surprisingly
Yeah.
rare that like I don't know. You just run into so many people that you just like give them a task and they're almost completely helpless.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I got.
Where do I start?
What? Yeah, I don't know how to start. Like, well, I don't know. Open up a web page. Like, just Not Calvin.
Not Calvin.
Calvin gets it.
Calvin. That should be a shirt.
Calvin gets it.
Calvin gets it.
9017 first shirts. Calvin gets it.
He's got a great sense of style. If you make T-shirts, make sure you have him
Run him
work on
past
them.
Calvin. Yeah. Nope. It's going awesome. It's just good to have another person, period. But it's awesome having someone that is talented, mature, can handle projects on their own. Lightens the burden for me. So
well done.
yeah, it's been a good week.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else you got today, Max? Do you have any questions or of such?
Yeah, I didn't write down any questions, but I kind of have a direction that I think we're gonna go, and we probably talked for good 15 minutes ish right there. So we'll keep it kind of short because Nate's got to get home. But we are
got to mow his lawn.
Too soon.
Sorry.
We're gonna launch a new podcast series soon at 9017.
What's it called?
It's gonna be called A Name for Yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a great name.
Yeah, and we're gonna explore.
So lame.
That's a dad joke, but I mean, I really do like it. Go ahead, Max. Sorry.
We're gonna explore the ideas of me sitting down with one other person and talking about their story, talking about what it is that they do, kind of how they got there, and then getting a little bit deeper in like the. Do you find meaning in your work? I mean, is it really what you feel like you're called to? Is that a passion? Do you feel like that's important in what you do? Is it just a job? Kind of intentionally talking to people from various walks of life and faith backgrounds, because I want to really get like a wide variety of perspectives on that.
Can you get some cities people in too?
From the city of Marshall?
No.
Like Twin Cities.
Like metro areas.
Sure.
At some point. That's a request of mine.
Sure.
Because I think that's a lot different work-wise than Marshall.
Yeah, it could be.
We need more a broader perspective.
Yeah. So
that sounds fantastic.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
A name for yourself. Find it anywhere, that you find
Apple.
podcasts.
We'll find it nowhere right now.
Spotify.
It doesn't exist.
Well, it might by
Stitcher.
the time this airs.
What?
No, it won't.
It won't air.
What?
Wow.
Well, this is gonna air in like 3 or 4 days.
That fast?
Calvin's here. He's taking it.
You heard what he said. Guy dives in.
Well, watch
He's
this.
working 80 hours
Watch
a week
this.
and he just dives in.
Kelvin, make sure that this name for yourself happens incredibly soon. Maybe by next week, have a couple episodes.
We gotta schedule some interviews and get things rolling. But I wanted to kind of navigate down this path. We've talked about this stuff in the past with all of us, just like our passion, our stories, and all that. But my question for you guys is, when you are in the presence of someone, maybe it's someone that's older than you or like a grandparent or whatever, and you are like curious about those questions, how do you approach that? What questions do you ask? Kind of give me some insight into,
like, if they felt like they had purpose and
if you want to learn that about from someone else
person.
and you've ever been around someone that you're like, man, I wish I knew more about like their life. How do you approach those questions?
That's tough, man. Sorry, excuse me. It's deep. It tires me out just thinking about it.
I don't even watching the kids all day long. You were just like wiped out. Just a lot of energy. Let me start here first.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me start here first.
Yeah, you start.
Wake you up a little
Start
bit.
right here first.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greg.
If you could have a conversation like that with anyone, living or dead,
Oh, Jesus.
who would it be?
I had another sarcastic answer.
I know you were gonna say someone and then dead, weren't you?
That's that.
You were gonna say someone's name and then say dead. That's a joke from Parks and Rec. I think.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say that.
If you could talk to anyone living or dead, who would it be?
So you're asking, is that what you're asking
so
us?
Dead.
Are you asking us who we'd talk to?
Who is it? Who's the person that you would sit
that's
down
a good
to talk
question.
with about that?
Yeah, these questions.
You don't like them,
I
do
never
you?
have good answers.
Well, they're difficult.
tough.
Nate, why don't you go first? Nate loves
Phil
getting
Jackson.
put on the spot.
Phil Jackson.
Dead or alive?
Dead.
Sorry, we already went down that road. Don't do it again. Don't do it again.
Joke's over.
Okay, sorry.
Oh man, you should have called me last night. Give me time to think about it.
I'm gonna flip
I
back
just
to
thought
the.
about it like an hour ago.
I was gonna flip back to the first part.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older and like want to actually know things, I've been a lot more direct, and I would just ask people honestly, like if they were happy with what they were doing, or like if there was something, if there's something that would change about what they're doing. Like I've gotten quite a bit more direct when I need to ask questions about.
You're direct. you just get straight to the point.
I want to have good conversations and real conversations, and they don't have to be long. I would just like to know, like if I need to know something exactly, I've gotten a lot better about just asking. Like my grandma, like, and those aren't like those are meaningful, but I'm not saying like they're not like looking for purpose necessarily in those conversations, but I've gotten a lot better about asking about her experiences like directly when it's something that's going on in my life, maybe like if it's something, I don't know. The only example I can think of is like when COVID first started, I was pretty direct about asking her experience like with polio and like when they had other, like, cause they had been she'd been quarantined a couple times in her life when things were going around, and she's just was interesting to hear, but that's kind of a different path. But I just decided to be direct about pretty much every conversation that I have now. So,
which is a good quality.
Sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes I'm a little bit black and white. Like me and my mom's conversations aren't as good as they have been because I'm too direct in some of my conversations, like without any feel or any like, there's not that there's no feel or whatever, but I just have gotten too much to the point sometimes. So.
Yeah. There's got to be a balance there for sure.
Yep.
Got to have some discernment of like, when can I not just kind of passive aggressively handle this or kind of beat around the bush? And then when do I got to, I don't know, to answer either one of those questions. How do I handle it? Sometimes not well. You know, if there's somebody that I really want to learn from, a lot of times I feel like I don't know what to ask. So depending on the amount of time I'm going to get to spend with them, probably dictates that. Like if it's going to be more of like, oh, the Lord's brought this person in my life for a while. Sometimes it's more of an observational role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, okay, I'm just going to, like, I respect this guy a tons or this gal tons. I'm just gonna keep my eye on them and just kind of like see how they handle their business. Now, if there's any level of fame that comes with them, then I normally almost direct away from any questions that would like be regarding that.
Like just trying to take from them, or
exactly, or try to feel like I'm interested in them because of that. You know. So then
what famous people you been talking to?
Well, and it's like not famous people, but you know what I mean? People that maybe are
they're like higher in stature.
Even just people in the community that are like, that's, you know, they're kind of a big deal actually. And I don't want to get starstruck or, you know, feel like
you're sucking up to them.
Yeah, totally. So I
never feel like you do that to me. You're fine.
Have you seen your status in the community?
I should. Yeah, exactly.
I think that makes sense.
But it's not really answering the question very well too.
That's my answer. At the same time, I really didn't process it much beforehand. But one thing I thought of as you guys were answering was like, is that really a natural desire of people in our generation? I don't know that I actively
to like learn.
I don't know that I see people and I'm like, oh, I want to learn about them, but I want to know the information that would come out of it. It's like, I don't think about it. I'm not intentional enough to actually like do that on a regular basis. But if I find out someone's story, I'm always really thankful that I did. That's probably what's like driving this podcast. That's I want to force it, but I don't normally wouldn't force it.
Because it is like we should do it more.
Yeah,
because it's always a treat when you find out someone's like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah,
but
I like that. Like me and Darren, the guy that I used to be assistant for, like he's like 5 years ahead of me in what I'm doing. So it's pretty cool that we can just have conversations and then I can see where he's advanced in the last 5 years, like what he's learned. And so then I can almost skip steps and learn what he learned. Yeah. Like that's a useful relationship like that.
You're drafting
right.
behind
it's
him
not
right
really
now.
He's not really mentoring me. Like he's not sitting down and being like, okay, Nate, like what did you journal about this week but it's like a relational and kind of watching, just like you're saying, like just in our conversations, but also I can ask questions, but I can almost watch.
Has he seen growth in you that he's mentioned?
Oh yeah, I think so. But
should ask him that sometime. Just what ways have you seen me grow? Because I feel like sometimes we grow in the areas we don't know. Like there's obvious ways that we're like, yeah, I know I'm better in these 3 areas, but then there's other things that's like, that's very true, but that was almost like, whether to just osmosis from the relationships or maturity. It's like, I wouldn't ever thought about that, or didn't even think that was a fault,
right,
that I needed to grow, but now here it is.
I wonder if most people find purpose, or as much purpose as they want to in that.
Yeah. I'm not anticipating that I will find a large majority of people
Most will say no.
really think about that.
Oh, finding the purpose.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that quite a bit.
But I think I don't know.
You don't think you will, huh?
No.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
No, I think a lot of people will just say that, like,
it's a good job,
makes them happy, and that their purpose is in their things outside of their job, which is an accurate perspective. I think my perspective is probably that there is no separation in my life.
Right.
Like my job, my career, my side things, my family, my church are all part of the same entity that sort of creates a part of me. None of it is my identity. Lots of it could fall away and it wouldn't really affect me. But if there are certain areas that I would just feel like are, I don't know, not worth it, or are like just holding me back, then I would just cut it loose, sort of.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned that about asking people outside, because I think in Marshall you're right that it'll be a lot of like, oh, it's a good job. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
You guys think it's generational though? Because I think I feel, well, yeah. Do you think, or not so much?
I don't know. It could be.
I feel like our parents are just like, I find purpose in it because it pays the bills. I find purpose in it, not because it like gives my life purpose, but because it's just like, you need to have a job and it fills that. So it's purposeful in those areas, where like more in a practical sense, but like not like maybe like the difference is purpose and passion. You know,
I think that if you're not, I think a generational as in if you're like 50 years old, you say it. Like, I think if we're not careful, we would say the same thing when we're 50 years old. You know what I mean? Like, if we aren't purposely trying to find something that gives us purpose in our work, like, we'll turn 50 and say the same exact thing. Like, like, yeah, it pays the bills. Like, it's a good enough job. Like, I'm happy, but I still do my other stuff on the weekend.
I think there are some people that just don't really have, I don't want to say like they don't have the emotional capacity. It's not that. I'm not trying to insult them, but it's like, never crossed their mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody ever even like asked the question, so they just never put two and two together. I don't know that I would anticipate the cities being that different in that area.
Yep. No.
The way I would see it being different is, it's such a competitive environment.
Right. That's what I was.
And like the excuse is you're looking for purpose and passion, but like really you're looking for significance.
Right.
That's my experience.
That's the only reason I ask is because like I have friends that have had tons of promotions and have like changed jobs and kept climbing the ladder, and way more than you see around here.
Right.
But I would guess you're right that they don't see any more purpose in what they're doing.
Yeah.
Either.
But I know a couple of guys up there that are like leading businesses that are like good dudes.
Yep.
They would definitely connect to that, and you do too.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, like purpose and meaning, like that matters to me. It's like, well, I think being an influencer matters to you. Like,
you're probably only going to find that when with people that are within people that are starting their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like I would say for the most part. Like,
Find what, like you're saying.
Finding their purpose and what they're doing as their job. I would say you're mostly only going to find that in people that started their own stuff.
And that's kind of a tragedy because there are many existing great businesses that have like mid or entry level positions that you can find purpose and meaning being a part of that mission. But like, that's probably generational, that we feel like we have to do our own thing for it to be significant enough to find value.
Yeah, and that's maybe
being
where
a
I'm
part of
getting
someone
at
else's
too a little
vision.
bit sometimes is just like, yeah, why can't you find purpose in just being a part of a company that
I could
is
see
doing
that.
good? You know, like 3M, you know, like probably one of the worst jobs I've ever had was a summer job, and was throwing they were like sponges that did, like, they were testing medical things with sponges. Anyway, it was pretty much a popsicle stick with a little tiny sponge on the end, and when you got it wet and wiped it on something, it either sterilized it or it checked if it was, there was some kind of disease where you check or whatever. I don't even know. I know that they were expensive, very inexpensive to make, but like had an expensive purpose. And it was just like the machine would come, it'd open up a bag, you'd drop a sponge thing in. Drop a sponge thing in. Drop a sponge thing. This is like for 12, you did 12-hour shifts. Yes. And then after, I think every 2 hours.
They couldn't replace that with a machine?
Not 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this was 10 years ago, but
okay.
But even so, I mean, there is certain things that are like,
wow.
And they would have the machines do so much there,
Yeah.
But and there's probably a reason that a human was doing it. I don't know. But then you'd go down the line, and then for, the next 2 hours,
was getting bored.
Yeah, exactly. You'd like just box it, put 30 in a box, tape a box, and set it down. Put 30 box, and it was just like, from the outside, that would be the most mundane, terrible job ever. But like to the people getting those sponge sticks, whatever they were doing, like it was really purposeful. So you can find purpose in that. Like, I got to wake up and do this because someone's going to need those things. If I don't do it, I don't know who will. And so, I don't know, sometimes but people don't, I think, feel like unless they're doing their own thing, pursuing their own dream, that their work isn't purposeful.
I feel like I was just reminded of a story Pastor Doug told me a long time ago. When he was either still at Relco or after he had left, but something about he was going through the plant and had run into one of the plant guys that was just filling a feed bag or whatever, and asked him a question that sort of was around that lane of like, how's it going? And he was just on a downtrodden or kind of stressed out or whatever. And he had reshaped this guy's perspective of like, do you know what you're a part of? Like, this bag like goes to a, small farm. Kind of painted that picture of like putting food on a table, kind of getting all the way to the end consumer. And like for that guy specifically, it kind of reminded him like, oh yeah, that is something I enjoy being a part of. Yeah. I can kind of get lost in like the task that's physically in front of me, but I'm in an industry that I enjoy. I think was a cool refresh there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
who would you like to meet though, Max?
Oh,
Gary V?
No.
Just kidding. I know last time or one time you're like, I feel like I kind of listened to him enough that I know how he would answer the questions that I would ask him.
Yeah, and I feel like he's one of those guys, kind of also like a Dave Portnoy, where like, I don't know that I'd want to be friends with them or like sit down with them. Like, I just wouldn't be necessary.
Yeah.
But like, definitely respect them as like really good marketers. They know what they're doing.
Sure.
Same with like Seth Godin. I don't know. Interesting to have a conversation. I think he probably thinks I'm a creep or something because of that thing that happened down in Texas. Did I tell you that story?
I feel like you have. I don't remember that.
So I went to like Dave Ramsey's.
Yep. I was going to say, was it at the leadership summit or whatever?
What was that called? Entre Leadership Seminar.
Yeah. And
I was so excited to hear Seth Godin speak and lots of others. But after he was done speaking, I had to go to the bathroom so bad. I had to pee. And so like I left right as he walked off stage. I went out the back door and he like went out the front stage. I don't even know how this is possible. But I get into the bathroom, and Seth Godin is the only other guy in the bathroom, and he's just finishing up, like walking away from the urinal. And he looks at me, and I realize I'm holding that book, Lynchpin, which was a free gift for everyone. I'm holding that book in my hand. In my other hand, I'm holding a pen with the cap off. So it just looks like I'm
followed him in the bathroom to get it autograph.
To get an autograph. And so I'm like, this is so bad. So I like quickly set it down on the sink. He washes his hands like very fast. I'm going to the bathroom. I wash my hands like kind of right as he's walking out the door. I remember I walked out the door maybe like 5 or 10 seconds after him. And I was just kind of surprised because I opened it and like looked around and he was gone. And I kind of had like walked down another hallway before I could go right back into the seminar. But if you go left, there's a super long hallway, like maybe the size of the seminar hall, basically. And I like looked left just for a second and he's like way down there. Like, he obviously ran when he got out of the bathroom. Like, I don't know if he's a skittish guy or a nervous guy or whatever.
Or germaphobe.
But I made him uncomfortable.
He had a run down
And I remember telling my wife that night, like, can you believe one of the guys I respect the most, I just like accidentally creeped out in the bathroom? Totally Seth, if you're watching this, totally unintentional. I just had to go to the bathroom. I was just taking notes. That's why the cap wasn't on. And I was excited to read your book. It looked bad. It looked worse than it was. Wish I could have said hi instead of like whatever dumb thing I said in the moment. Like,
What you said in the moment was like, "How's your dog Hanoi, and how's wife, and how's your two kids, John and Sue, and how's your new place on 500 East Drive?"
Yeah. Now I feel like I need to never meet him. Like, he'll just remember me from San Antonio.
I'm sure he'll definitely remember that
convention hall bathroom.
Totly.
You're that guy.
Be very memorable.
He's following me again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anybody I'd want to meet. But that's the thing. It's like, I want to talk to people that I wouldn't have from a distance identified as a person I want to meet, and then pursue that conversation over a cup of coffee right here in the studio. And then through that realize, like, hopefully, wow, there are people who are super intentional about like thinking about their path, thinking about what it is they do, seeing how they've made decisions, and maybe I'll be surprised on, certain areas that they've been like, yeah, I just, up and quit and did this thing. I felt like it was the right thing to do. Or, just wanted to kind of hear those stories that a lot of people are pretty humble. A lot of people don't talk about those things, especially if they're very accomplished. They don't bring it up. So I think that'll just be fun.
You realize, like, I'm really glad I got to know you. Because now, if I would have known this, I would have wanted to get to know you, but I didn't know it.
Right.
So now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's like, cool.
Awesome. Well, that's probably the podcast, right?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Maybe we got to get a nap.
Yeah. Green and green. You're always matching with someone, Greg.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right. Well, till next time.
See ya. That's funny.
Straight up.
I was tired of my old t-shirt, so I bought 5 new t-shirts from Express because they're on sale for $11. So, and I'm like, oh, this place is usually like $30. So on their clearance, they had like, I just got plain V-necks pretty much for $11, and I'm so happy. It was because of a couple pictures of me in shirts from Old Navy that I was just like, no. Like,
that's not what I want.
That doesn't hang right. Like,